Watch your streams and you're a piece of shit. And I came here to say that to everybody. You're a literal piece of shit.
Vitaly may be one of the most disgustingly arrogant people that I've ever seen, and he's getting exactly what he deserves. He was once viewed as the king of YouTube prank culture, but now he's facing some serious prison time in the Philippines, and I, among with many others, could not be happier. Now, some people would turn around and say it's envy, or perhaps I'm jealous of his following, but the reality is Vitaly is just an absolute piece of shit.
Watch your streams and you're a piece of shit. And I came here to say that to everybody. You're a literal piece of shit.
There is nothing about him that's nice, not in any way, shape or form, and I for one have no issue calling out creators that are terrible people. Now, anyone who's followed the guy for more than 5 minutes isn't exactly shocked to see that he's in this kind of trouble. In fact, many are calling it long overdue. From his chaotic prank career to the violent altercations that he's done, to even believing that he was untouchable. This prison sentence isn't just karma, it's long overdue justice. But how did Vitaly get here? What did he do in the Philippines? And why is this potentially the end of his reckless legacy? This is a fall from grace that, frankly, many would say is what he deserves. Now let's roll it back a little bit. Vitaly first exploded onto the YouTube scene back in the early 2010s with his prank videos that were outrageous, over the top, and often incredibly uncomfortable. Now, while other creators were pulling harmless gags, Vitaly's brand was built on shock value. Fake bomb pranks, public nudity, sexual harassment under the guise of social experiments. The list goes on and on. His channel, Vitalized TV, gained millions of subscribers quickly, and to be fair, he was probably one of the early pioneer architects of the viral prank genre. But unlike most creators who evolve, mature, or learn from their controversy, Vitaly only escalated it. I mean, let's take a look at a few of the stunts that built his career. The Miami zombie prank, where he pretended to be a zombie and run around scaring random strangers. The gold digger pranks, which were often scripted and relied on manipulating strangers, particularly women, into uncomfortable situations for clicks. And then, of course, the World Cup and NBA final streaking incidents, where he ran onto the field during major televised events for nothing more than attention and a few million YouTube views. Each of these acts followed a familiar pattern: shock the world, go viral, rinse and repeat. But what he was really doing was pushing the boundaries of legality and decency. So fast forward to 2025 and Vitaly is making headlines again. But it's not for streaking or pranks. This time, it's something far more serious. His behaviour whilst on a trip to the Philippines has been labelled as disgraceful, disgusting, and outright crossing a line. In one instance, he repeatedly demanded attention from a woman, eventually threatening, "I'm going to fucking rob you if you keep walking away." When she refused his money, he shouted, "Okay, because you got a COVID mask, you liberal fuck." And later, at a shopping mall, he confronted a security guard, snatched his hat and ran away. And when a woman intervened, he told her to shut the fuck up. He also harassed another guard by singing paparazzi whilst filming in his face. But perhaps the most egregious moment came when he asked the police officer if he could shove a banana in his arse, before hopping on the officer's bike and urging him to give chase. Whilst this was clearly aimed at provoking a reaction, the stunt was deemed deeply disrespectful and culturally insensitive. The Philippine authorities didn't care about his follower account and they detained him immediately. And now he's facing actual prison time, up to 24 years in prison if convicted. And I, for one, think it couldn't have happened to a nicer person. But let that sink in. The guy who built his brand acting like the rules didn't apply to him just found out what happens when they finally do. Now, you'd think that getting arrested in a foreign country might humble someone, that maybe, just maybe, it would trigger some introspection. But no, not with Vitaly. After the incident, rather than apologising or showing remorse, he doubled down. On Instagram, he'd post cryptic captions like, "They can't stop the king, and I do this for the real ones." In a short video clip recorded shortly before his account was temporarily suspended, he actually laughed about the arrest, calling it nothing serious. But when confronted by another YouTuber, someone who tried to have a real face-to-face conversation with him about the damage he was causing, Vitaly's response was textbook arrogance. Instead of listening, he mocked the guy, calling him irrelevant, saying he was jealous of his greatness, and acted like the laws of the world simply didn't apply to people with millions of subscribers.
Fucking with people.
Oh, so you came to press me, yeah?
No, I came to have a genuine conversation.
And your genuine conversation what? I'm telling you exactly what's going on. Hey, what? What are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do?
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell your viewers that you guys are better than this. You don't have to watch people fucking with others and putting them down. You need to lift people up for a living.
And what do I do? You haven't watched my
I have watched your streams and you're a piece of shit. And I came here to say that to everybody. You're a literal piece of shit.
Don't fucking touch me before I knock you the fuck out.
You're not gonna knock me out.
Oh yeah? What are you gonna do?
I guarantee you're not gonna knock me out.
Yo, back off.
Fucking walk.
You see, Vitaly's behaviour is just aggressive, confrontational, and honestly, embarrassingly childish. Because not only did he miss an opportunity to grow, he thought it'd be a good idea to double down on being the villain. And here's the kicker. That arrogance may end up being used against him when he faces court. See, his dismissive attitude and his social media posts and his refusal to acknowledge wrongdoing are all being cited as evidence that he acted with deliberate intent. Now, if this was an isolated incident, you might say, all right, maybe it's just a one-time lapse in judgment, or, we all make mistakes. But let's not forget, this is the same guy who assaulted a female jogger in 2020 whilst allegedly under the influence of drugs. The woman had to be hospitalized and he was charged with battery. This is the same guy who was detained by the Egyptian authorities in 2017 for climbing the pyramids, another example of him disrespecting cultural landmarks. This is the same guy who repeatedly faked or staged these videos to deceive his audience, which many other YouTubers have called out over the years. Vitaly's whole brand is built on controversy, disrespect, and avoiding consequences. But this time, finally, the law caught up to him. So now here we are. Vitaly's facing actual prison time in the Philippines, and for once, the internet isn't rallying around a fallen creator. There's no sympathy. There's no hashtags like Free Vitaly. In fact, many people are saying good riddance, and honestly, they're not wrong. Because here's the truth. Being a content creator doesn't make you above the law. Having followers doesn't mean you can exploit cultures, trespass in sacred spaces, or put people at risk for clicks. Vitaly's entire career has been built on believing that he was untouchable. But real life doesn't work like that, and eventually, when you keep poking the bear, it will fucking bite back. You see, this isn't cancel culture. This isn't an overreaction. This is a guy who's been warned time and time again by fans, fellow creators, and the law, and he chose every single time to ignore all of it. And now he's getting exactly what he asked for: consequences. So, what can we all learn from this? YouTube has changed, audiences are smarter, the platform has evolved, and the creators who last are the ones who adapt, the ones who understand that respect, accountability, and growth matter more than shock value. You see, Vitaly could have made that pivot. He had the audience, he had the resources, he had the reach, but instead, he chose the fast lane to infamy, and now that lane ends behind bars. If you're a creator, let this be a lesson. Fame is not a shield. Subscribers are not a get out of jail free card. And if you keep acting like a dick and like the rules don't apply to you, then don't be surprised when the world reminds you that they do. Vitaly's future now depends on the Philippine legal system, whether he serves a few months or a few years. One thing is clear, the days of the untouchable prank kings are over. And for a guy who has made a career out of other people's discomfort, it's about time he faces some of his own. Thanks for watching. If you found the video insightful, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and then let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you feel this was justice, or do you think the punishment was too harsh? Until next time, stay smart, stay grounded, and maybe don't go climbing sacred monuments for clout.
Watch your streams and you're a piece of shit. And I came here to say that to everybody. You're a literal piece of shit.